You have people to text, plans on the weekend, a group chat that's always going, and still, at the end of most days, you feel completely alone. Not because nobody's around, but because nobody really sees you. They see the version of you that shows up, the one that listens, the one that helps, the one that says, I'm fine, and means it just enough for everyone to believe it. But the real you, the one who's exhausted, the one who needed someone to ask a follow-up question, that version rarely gets a turn. If that hits somewhere specific, stay with me. This one's for you. Welcome to InnerHold. I'm really glad you're here. There's a specific kind of loneliness that nobody warns you about. It doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being needed. When you become the person everyone leans on, something quietly shifts. You stop being a full person in the conversation. You become a role. The therapist friend, the stable one, the one who always picks up. And because you're so good at it, because you make it look effortless, the people around you start to assume you're fine. Always. They stop checking. Not because they don't care, but because you've never given them a reason to think you might not be. And the exhausting part is, you probably don't even realize it's happening. Because when someone reaches out in crisis, you don't just listen. Your whole body goes to work. It steadies them, absorbs the weight. Psychologists have a word for that, co-regulation. And it takes real biological energy every time. Picture it like being the power bank nobody charges. You give and give and give, and somewhere along the way, you run out. But by then, you're so practiced at hiding it that even you aren't sure it's happening.
Here's the part that stings the most. The loneliness isn't just about being overlooked. It's about being fully known and still invisible.
Your friends know your advice. They know how you handle a crisis. They know you'll show up. But do they know what keeps you up at 2 a.m.? Do they know what you're quietly afraid of? Do they know the last time you actually fell apart? You've had genuinely terrible days, days where everything felt like too much, and when someone asked how you were, you said, I'm good. And the conversation moved on because that's what you do. Because you learned a long time ago that being the stable one kept things smoother. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called fawning. And when you first hear it, it might sting a little because it sounds so small for something that takes so much out of you. Instead of fighting or shutting down when things feel hard, you soften. You manage the room. You become whatever the situation needs. It often starts early in homes where staying calm was the safer option. And it becomes so natural that you carry it into every friendship and relationship you build. The cost? Your nervous system never fully powers down. Part of you is always sensing, always monitoring, always ready to jump in, even when nobody asked, even when you're the one who needs someone to jump in for you. So, what do you actually do? Because understanding this doesn't automatically fix it, but there is a place to start, and it's smaller than you think. The first shift, and it sounds simple, but it goes against everything your nervous system is trained to do, is to create a pause between someone's request and your response. Right now, your default is probably instant yes, available before they've even finished asking, already solving it in your head while they're still mid-sentence. Try replacing that automatic yes with this. Let me check and get back to you. That one sentence changes something significant. It gives you a moment to ask a different question, not, how do I fix this? But Do I actually have the capacity for this right now? You are allowed to check in with yourself before you check in on everyone else. That is not selfish. That is the only way this stays sustainable. The hardest version of this is with the people you love most. With family, a request never feels like just a request. It carries history. It carries the unspoken rule that you are the one who handles things, and you've been passing that test your whole life. Every time you showed up, every time you said yes, every time you pushed your own needs aside to keep the peace. When you start to say no, even once, even gently, it disrupts the whole system. People react, sometimes with guilt, sometimes with pressure, sometimes with genuine surprise, not always because they're trying to control you, but because you changing means the dynamic they built around you has to change too. In friendships, it shows up differently. You're deeply in their lives, their go to, their constant, the one they trust most. But parts of you remain completely unseen. And that specific loneliness of being so close to people and still feeling like a stranger to yourself in those relationships is one of the hardest things to name. Setting limits doesn't turn you into a cold person, it turns you into an honest one. And when you're honest, the support you give actually means something because it's coming from a real place, not from fear of what happens if you say no. And before you say, I could never say that, you can. You just haven't practiced yet. Try these. Here are phrases worth practicing out loud. Seriously, say them out loud because your brain needs to hear them from your own mouth first. I really care about you, but I can't do that tonight. I can give you 10 minutes, but then I need to go. I need to reschedule. I'm pretty depleted right now. Notice what every one of these has in common. They don't disappear. They don't apologize for existing. They tell the truth. And that truth protects the relationship long term far better than resentment does. Something surprising happens when you start doing this. The people who genuinely care about you adjust, they don't leave. And for the first time, the support starts moving in both directions, not just out of you and into everyone else. Being dependable, being the one people trust, being the person they call when things go wrong. That reflects something real about who you are. A kind of emotional strength most people never develop. But strength was never supposed to mean silence, and showing up for people was never supposed to mean disappearing from your own life. When was the last time someone asked how you were and actually stayed for the real answer? If that question lands somewhere tender, you're not alone in that feeling. More people than you'd expect are carrying the same quiet weight, and most of them have never said it out loud either. You've spent so much time being someone others can hold on to. You deserve something to hold on to, too. That's what InnerHold is here for. Tell me in the comments, are you the person everyone leans on? And when things get hard for you, where do you go? I read every single one